Hello and welcome. I'm Hayley Coxon and this is Rebel Without a Limit. And today's episode is the first of many I'm planning to cover as many stories of charities that I'm either involved in or aware of that I simply cannot not share their story and their history and the impact that they've been making. So today's first episode is Craig's Heartstrong Foundation, which is based over here on the Isle of Man. Obviously, this is where I'm from, and Craig's Heartstrong Foundation has got a very strong link to myself and everyone here on the couch with me today. So, without further ado, I'm going to get chatting to the committee. We've got the wonderful committee that are here today. We've got a few missing, but we've got the classics here, obviously, and we've got the lovely Molly who's going to be sharing her story a little bit in a little while about how the charity has helped her moving forward. So, we have Paul Healy, Chairman. Hello, Paul.
Hello there.
We have Luke Murray just over there. He's our secretary. We've got John Koppel. We've got Matty Palmer. So we're going to be getting to these guys now. First of all, we'll start with Paul Healy. So it was 2005 that the charity was started, Paul, wasn't it? And what an impact it's made so far. We've just had our second screening of the year at the weekend and hitting the 10,000th screening mark.
Yeah.
How incredible.
Absolutely incredible, yeah. Proud moment for us all. You know, when we first started the charity, sat around the kitchen table. I think we thought it was just going to last a few years. Here we are, 16 years later, with 10,000 heart screenings under our belt and, 1.4 million raised over that period of time and spent, very wisely by the committee and past committee members as well. So, yeah, pretty proud moment. Nice to have caught the guy, Tristan, who came out after his 10,000th heart screening. It was a special moment and we're super proud of it, yeah.
Amazing. So let's go back to the beginning then, shall we? So in 2005, Craig Lunt, who's my cousin, sadly went to sleep one night and he didn't wake up. And further down the line, we found out that he had an undetected heart condition. Hence the charity's name, Craig's Heartstrong, and now they screen with cardiac risk in the young who come over from the UK and provide the screening for 14 to 35-year-olds. So it's young people that we are screening, isn't it, Paul? So we go back to the day, that time really. So Paul was Craig's best friend.
The day was weird, really, yeah. Some of us had been out on the Friday night and woke up with terrible hangovers. I wasn't actually playing football at the time because I had a bad back, which went on for many years. And Craig was playing for St George's. He'd just joined the best team on the island. Had started off, I think he'd scored something like 23 goals in 21 games, and they were playing down at Colby. I was down at Ronald's Way just watching Corinthians play, and I got a phone call from friend Stephen Glennon to say Craig hasn't turned up to the St George's game. I think something's happened. At first I think he's been in a car crash. I think something's happened. Anyway, I got on the phone then to Craig's dad to try and find out what had happened, and yeah, we'd found out that unfortunately Keith had gone up to the house and found Craig in bed from the night before, because Keith, I think, was working nights at the fire station, so he'd gone home to check on him, and there he was in bed. Switch had just turned off in the night, unfortunately, and apparently down at Colby there were screams on the pitch and everything when people found out, and just a moment like that will live in your memory forever as not a good thing at all. It was probably one of the worst days of my life, his family, yourself. I was actually playing football with Chris at the time, and we had to bring Chris off. Nick Cowell substituted him at the time and brought him off, and we had to tell him the news before it kind of spread, and he found out in another way. So tragic moment, and Craig will live long in everyone's memory, and thankfully he lives in the memory of Craig's Heartstrong every day, and his name is in lights as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
It's just a great way to remember him, I think, by doing this.
And what anyone that was linked to him or loved him or knew him or lucky enough to know him or be related to him, try and prevent this from happening to another family for what we went through in those few weeks and years following.
Yeah.
To start something like this was so important, wasn't it? To try and prevent the best way possible and with the most action possible as well, is to try and stop this from happening to anybody else.
For what you, Keith, Paula, Dean, the rest of the family, for what you lot went through as a family, we didn't want to see that happen to anybody else. But your family didn't want to see it happen to anybody else. So at first it was, let's set up this charity and raise the awareness of heart defects. But the amount of money that we raised immediately was so much that we had to come up with some new ideas, and it was actually Keith's brother, Dr. Lunt, I'm trying to think, Jeff Lunt, who came up with the idea of cardiac risk in the young. He said, these guys are in the UK, they screen people for heart conditions, put us in touch, and from there it's gone from one heart screening in 2007 to doing 2 a year now, and like we say, hitting 10,000 heart screenings. So like I said before, from a little charity idea set around a kitchen table, it's now a £1 million business, and the work that everyone else puts in around me as well is the dedication is fantastic from everyone.
And Molly, so we've been lucky enough to have helped many over the years, haven't they? So you come in for the screening, you'll go for your ECG, and then some may be referred for an echo, and then if you need more support after that, that's where the charity can come into play to support families and individuals going through anything that they need after that. So Molly, you came to us for a screening, and when was it?
About 9-10 years ago. I was 16, went in as normal, and she just said, something's not quite right, let's go and just do like the ultrasound. And then she said to me, we found a hole. So I had a hole the size of a 50p piece that had no symptoms, nothing, literally just went just to make sure I was all right. So,
and how was that for you at the time?
Scary. I remember the day very clearly because my mum worked at the hospital, and it was around Grand Prix week, and all she kept saying to me was, I went up to her ward and I was in tears, and she was like, have you crashed the car?
Yeah.
I was like, no Mum, I'm like, the car's fine. It's me. But my younger sister had a heart murmur, so she was like panicking then, was it the right sister? Like just stuff like you just overthink, but yeah.
And if that wasn't a found then, what could have been the repercussions of that if it hadn't been found at the screening?
They said if I had fallen pregnant, or if I did and it hadn't been sorted, I probably would have had a stroke.
Okay. Wow. Incredible. And so you had to go away after that and get treatment, and we supported you through that.
So I went to Liverpool Heart and Chest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the first operation wasn't successful, so I had to go back 6 months later and have it redone, and that was absolutely fine. So yeah, I was very lucky.
Great. And how are you now? Everything's all right?
Yeah. Don't have anything.
Amazing.
You probably wouldn't even know it happened, unless I tell people. Like, you would never know. Don't have any symptoms, nothing. Was discharged within 18 months of everything. So yeah.
Incredible.
Doing really good.
I love it.
Fantastic.
Wow, Mel. Thank you for sharing that.
No
We
worries.
appreciate it. And Luke, you've come on board now. You are secretary with the committee, but you've had a few things to get through yourself, not in support from us. It was outside of the screening, but tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so coincidentally, I've been having my own issues when I'm playing football. It's been under investigation for probably 18 months, 2 years now. It's still being looked into. I've had a couple of operations over at Liverpool Heart and Chest as well, which unfortunately haven't gone to plan so far. But I've now been referred to another department, so hopefully they'll be able to find a solution. But coincidentally, just before I had one of my big issues with my heart back in December, about a week or two before, Paul asked me to join the charity secretary, which I was more than happy to do.
Yeah.
And now here I am, 10, 11 months later.
And I love that as a result of, you use your time, 'cause you were taking time out from football then because you had to, weren't you? You were advised by the doctors. You used your time productively by stepping on board and coming on board with the committee and directing your energy in that way, which is just superb. And
yeah, absolutely. Like you say, while I've had time out of football, it's allowed me a little bit extra time to do other things like get stuck in with the charity. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing for best part of 11, 12 months now. I mean, most of the work really is Paul, but my role as secretary is helping him with the stuff, sort of sharing a bit of the load, which is the same as Arnie and John really, in the respect that previously Paul had a bit of a burden on his shoulders in terms of organising everything for the charity, whereas with a bigger committee now, the load spread a bit, and it's, like I say, a bit of a weight off Paul's shoulders in some respects.
Yeah.
And also he's in the age range. A few of us a little bit past that age range.
yeah.
That age range.
It's nice to have some people on the committee now that can actually still be screened. You know, with Josh and Chris as well joining the committee.
Yeah.
It can. When we first set it up, we were all footballers, and we were all sportsmen and women at the time, and now sadly we're not, because we're too old. So it's our kids. It's actually our kids that are turning up to the hard screenings now, and people like Luke and Chris and Josh being on the committee, it spreads word out to the footballing sporting community again now at that new age. So it's it's working well, and like Luke says, to have a bigger committee now, it just spreads the load a lot more, and I can relax a little bit more and actually give out some duties to people to crack on with. So it's been a great help by everyone.
And John, you've been with us again from day dot.
Yeah, really, kind of unofficially, officially in some capacity since the start. Started with the website and obviously helped. I'm going back to sort of how it's evolved when the first screenings, and we had to build all the cubicles in the palace and bring all the tables for people to sit on and the chairs, and then take them all away again and pack them away at night so they could do do's in the palace and stuff. And,
gosh, I forgot about that. Back then.
So where it is now, we're obviously you've got the suite at the hospital.
Sticky floors on a Sunday morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was after the round bath and stuff. But now from where it is now, where it's come from, and the fact that it's evolved as well, not just like heart screening, but I think one of the main things when we were involved, and one of the questions you get asked all the time is like, how old do I have to be to get a screening? And it was always just the 14 to 35 age bracket. And now obviously with the DFibs that are like everywhere on the Isle of Man, and some of the success stories around that as well, it's become like a charity for everyone on the island, not just for like a certain age range, which like obviously no one would have ever dreamed of that from the start of it. And
no.
Like H says, it just keeps Craig's name alive.
So fill us in on a bit more of that backstory of the DFibs as well, if you could, John. So what's happening with that, where we're at, and why it begun?
I mean, obviously Haley will know more than me, but there's like 500 plus DFibs on the island. I mean, the first one that I know that got used was actually in the office next door to me. And kind of a weird one, because PokerStars got donated a...
Yeah, it was like a full circle, wasn't it? PokerStars got donated a DFib from us.
Yeah.
And so did a rugby club. So the rugby club sent their...
Scott.
Yeah, sent some of their members for DFib training. And one guy called Scott Goodall, is it? Goodall?
Which was paid for by Craig's Heartstrong.
Yeah, which was paid for by us. And the guy collapsed at his desk, Chris Corlett. He was going to come tonight, but he's actually away. Collapsed at his desk. Everyone thought he was messing around. He'd gone into cardiac arrest. Scott knew where the DFib was, knew how to use it, went and got it, saved his life.
Actually, the week after he had a training course.
Yeah, so it was the whole thing was a big circular back to Craig's Heartstrong. It was.
I came back I'd been at the gym and come back in the office, and everyone's running around. I'm going, what the hell's going on here? And then someone's saying the DFib's being used, and then I rang him straight away, and I was like, I think a DFib's just being used in our office.
Yeah.
And then it went from there. So.
And then he was in ICU for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and then,
but then we know
he's back at he attended our ball a few weeks ago at the Man United dinner. So
certainly other
great to
examples
see
of it as well over the years.
Great to see Molly sat here. Chris. Things could have gone another way. Danny Oram, who again would have come here tonight. I think he was similar to you. He was our very first one in 2007. I think he was 16 or 17 years of age, similar to Molly. Came in for just a normal heart screening, thought he was just going to walk in and walk back out, and next thing, there was just a panic in the room. We need to get his parents down, we need this, we need that, and he was found with a huge hole in his heart as well. So that was then fixed, and he scored a hat-trick against me a few years later, which I nearly kicked him in the air and said, you shouldn't be doing this.
That could have been anyone. To be fair.
He might have scored 2, actually. I'm doing an injustice to myself there.
We were probably playing as well, though.
And Palmer, you had a great history with Craig. You had some great memories there with him. So it's great to have you on the committee with us now and joining the crew. What does it mean to you to be involved?
It's a tough one because, you know, when you look back over time and you had that relationship with him many years ago, people drift apart. You know, probably never thought it would ever come to anything. And then we got invited to the governors. Was it last year when you got your medal?
Yeah.
And it's just through just the conversation, you know, you get speaking. And I just said, look, you ever need a hand with anything, you know, just let me know. And then sometimes people say that and it doesn't come to anything.
Yeah.
Whereas in my head, I thought, I've offered, when the time comes for this next screening, I'll make sure that, you know, I'm available and I'll stick to my word. And it's just where it's evolved from, really. And here I am.
I think with our history and with Palmer's history with Craig as well, just made perfect sense. He was willing to help out, and you know, to have Palmer on the committee now, and we drifted apart over the years. It's great to have Palmer back here again, and just, you know, we've become great friends again over time. So it's a great committee. Yeah, great committee.
And tell us, let's come back to that award then. That was pretty special, wasn't it, last year? So fill us in on what the award was.
It was.
And why
so a British Empire medal from Her Majesty the late Queen, which was a massive surprise. But on the flip side of that, it was, you know, absolutely brilliant recognition for the charity and the work that everyone has done. You know, whilst my name's on it, it's not an award for me. It's an award for Craig and Craig's Heartstrong Foundation. Always has been. Because I've not done it alone. Paula, the rest of the committee over the years, everyone has put a hell of a lot of work in, and, you know, to have one medal. If they had 15, 20 medals, we'd give them out everywhere to everyone that's been involved, because there's a lot of guts and sweat and tears and everything else gone into this charity over the years, and to be recognised like that, the exposure for the charity is just too much to say no. I mean, I did contemplate saying no because I didn't want that kind of recognition, but the governor persuaded me so, that this is an award from the Queen. When you think of it like that, then how can you say no? And like I say, the exposure that the charity has had following that, the fundraising that's come from that, it's all positive. You know, we can't hide away from the positive swing that it's done for the charity itself.
Absolutely.
But like I say, it's a thank you to everyone, the Manx public. You know, everyone that's ever put a couple of pound in here or there. It's like nearly £80 a screening. So if someone donates £1, it goes a long way. People think that, I've only got this on me. Well, that going into a bucket with the same money that all these other people have put in pays for somebody's heart to be screened, pays for a defib to go on the wall, pays for something to save somebody's life, you know, pays for Molly to be sat here. Let's be honest, it could have gone another way. And all those other people that it's saved, it's been fantastic.
So before we get on to what's happening next, I want to do quickly just go over the stats. So if you think about that demographic of what we screen, so 14 to 35-year-olds, we're doing the best that we can, aren't we? And we're getting amazing support from the Manx community. Yeah. But
we're nowhere near. We're nowhere near. So
there's constantly people there for us to screen.
So every year, on average, 1,500 kids turn 14. So if we're screening 14 to 35-year-olds twice a year, not even capturing 800, there's 1,500 kids that turn 14 every year. So we're not even capturing all of the 14-year-olds. So in an ideal world, you turn 14, it's mandatory to be heart screened. It is in Italy. We spoke to the hospital, and I'm going back about 10 years here. We spoke to the hospital. The costs were just out of this world. They couldn't afford it, even with our help, and probably still couldn't afford it. You know, the way the world's gone nowadays, there is no money lying around anywhere for things like that. But in an ideal world, you're 14, you can't do active sport until you've had a heart screening or had an ECG signed off by somebody, because, like I say, that's what it is in Italy, and it works. But we're doing 800 a year ish. That's all we can do, because cardiac risk in the younger are so busy in the UK. We did try and add a third date, but they just can't squeeze us in. So whenever we do have the additional fundraising, that's where the DFibs come in. It's £2,000 for a unit, which is the full public access unit on the wall. So that's expensive stuff, but I think there's about 180 of those around the island now.
Incredible.
With 565 DFibs inside or outside of buildings. So every school, sports club, you know, you name it, they've got them. But the focus now would be look after them, because there's so many that are dropping off the map that people aren't changing the pads, aren't changing the batteries, aren't looking after the machine that they've kind of put their name to. Because if someone did collapse outside and the ambulance service have taken it off their map, then it's not going to be used.
Where do people find out where they can locate a DFib if they need to?
Yeah, so there's the ambulance service set up a map of the island a couple of years ago. Is dfibs.im, and you can go on there and you can zoom into your area, and all the green DFibs are the public access ones that the ambulance service know about, and the orange ones on that map are restricted, so it could be inside an office, available 9 till 5 Monday to Friday, and again the ambulance service know about them, but they know about the restrictions on them. So if someone collapsed outside of our office, for instance, where we work at the moment, the ambulance service would say, if you rang 999, they'd say there's a DFib in that building there, if someone can go and grab it while you wait for the ambulance to turn up. And it's happened, and it's saved lives already in the past. So yeah, this is another look after your machine, please, because if you don't, it falls off the map and it can't be used. So the DFibs was another thing, you know. Fabrice Muamba, I think it was, in 2009 maybe. We had a load of money in the bank, and doing one heart screening a year, we had nothing to spend it on. Muamba collapsed on the pitch. DFib saved his life. Like a light bulb went off, and we put them on in all the schools and sports clubs. That's just kind of extended over the years. Christian Eriksen recently highlighted the whole DFib thing again. So it's, unfortunately, it always seems to take a near tragic or a tragic event for these things to be highlighted again. Thankfully, the Eriksen and Muamba cases were non-tragic, but Craig's was tragic. But the good that's come out of it all is, you know, it's there for everyone to see.
10,000 plus screenings.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what's next for the charity then? What have we got coming up? What fundraisers or campaigns, etc.? What's going on?
What's next? There's a couple of weeks break. Well, actually, no. We've got another DFib launch coming up. Hopefully this week, maybe not. Maybe next week. I'll let everyone into a little secret. It's on the Heron pub up in Annika. That's one of the B&B ones that they donated. Another area that we've been looking at. But I want to thank Heron and Brealey, really, because they have now given us a license to go out and have a look at where their pubs are on the island, and maybe use their buildings around the island to put some of these life-saving DFibs on the wall. So that is a real stroke of luck for us that that they've agreed to do that, and just want to thank them for helping us there. Fundraising, we've got we've been approached by a few people for the Sid Quirk. We've just had this weekend just gone, my son and his friends, and there were other people as well that did it for Craig's Heartstrong, doing the end-to-end as far as they could. next year we're going to have another ball, maybe a golf day. We've got some ex-Liverpool players that love coming to the Isle of Man, so we've got them lined up for a golf day sometime when the weather's a bit better over here.
Yeah.
Which could be any day really.
Exactly.
But certainly the ball, it's getting harder and harder to find, because we've done so well with the ball every year and making it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
At some stage we run out of speakers because the caliber of speaker that we've had over the years with Carragher and Souness and the United boys that we've just had recently, the Soccer Saturday crew that came, we've done big, but I have got some ideas. So there's one that we've approached that we're hoping will come back soon.
Okay.
And we can confirm something soon. But as far as fundraising goes, it's the Manx public again. They do so much for us, and we get approached all the time. Can we do this? Can we do that? And we're like, yeah, brilliant. We've got a Just Giving page that you can set up your own pages on. You can go to our Facebook page. Our website directs you to donations and everything else. You've got the Instagram page going now, which is where all the kids go. We're waiting for a TikTok page actually. When are you going to get us on TikTok?
I'm not young enough.
We'll do a little dance.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks everyone. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your commitment to the charity. Healy, you've been with it since the beginning, and you have kept this going. So thank you.
Thank you to everyone
from my heart,
for their help.
From the family, from everyone that's been impacted by this charity. It's incredible, and Craig's legacy truly lives on through this charity and everyone that it's touched and supported. So do not forget, if you do want to support, it's Craig's heartstrongfoundation.co.uk. Head onto the website there. If you've got any fundraising ideas that you want to get involved in and you want to donate to the charity, you can get in touch with us through the website, through the Facebook page, Craig's Heartstrong Foundation, through the Instagram page. Any other avenue?
Just trying to think about Twitter.
Twitter, there you go.
At CHFIOM.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think we're done.
And listen, I just want to recap on the screening. Now, it's really not a painful process. It's really slick, easy. The team from Cry come over, really, really look after you when you go through the screening process. It's not painful. It's not scary. It's free, and it could be a lifesaver. It's nothing to be scared of. And you can come and meet us. Look at these smiley faces. Yeah. All right. So any questions, if you want to offer any support, please, we rely on your donations. We rely on your support on the island. Get in touch. Thank you, everybody. I'm Hayley Cox, and this is Rebel Without a Limit with Craig's Heartstrong Foundation Committee. Thank you for tuning in.